Okay, let's get into it. Today we're doing a deep dive into a situation around the Toronto Maple Leafs that is really fascinating.
It is. It's a trade rumor that's being framed everywhere as a potential asset robbery.
A robbery. And it's all about general manager Brad Treliving and whether he can pull off a heist against a desperate team.
Exactly. We're looking at a bunch of reports here from Elliot Friedman, Tom Gazzola, David Pagnotta, all the way to Jim Matson. They all point to the same thing. The Edmonton Oilers are in a corner.
And they're actively shopping forward Andrew Mangiapane. His agent even has permission to go out and find a trade.
Which is a huge tell. And all signs, all of them, point back to the Leafs as a prime spot for him to land. The Treliving connection is just so obvious.
But, and this is the big but, this is why there's so much debate. The rumored price going the other way is Matias Maccelli.
And that just immediately creates this massive conflict for the Leafs, doesn't it? It's asset management versus team need. If you're going to move a guy like Maccelli, you have to be absolutely sure you're exploiting Edmonton's desperation for every last drop of value.
It can't be a simple player swap.
No way. It has to be a net gain in assets, period.
So let's start with the guy at the center of all this, Andrew Mangiapane. Why is a player the Leafs wanted just a few months ago now being so openly dangled by the Oilers?
Well, the short answer is it's a complete disaster of performance meeting a cap space crunch. It just hasn't clipped for him in Edmonton at all.
It's been so bad he was a healthy scratch recently.
So yeah, healthy scratch. The team called it a reset, which is, code for this isn't working. The production just isn't there.
And he wants out, right? He's made that pretty clear.
Oh, absolutely. He's apparently willing to waive his full no-move clause, which is a huge deal for a player to give up that control.
And only under certain conditions.
Right. He'll only go to a contender, a team where he feels he can actually win. So that narrows the field, but it also tells you he's committed if he lands somewhere good.
Okay, so let's put some numbers on this. How bad has it actually been for him?
The numbers are pretty grim. He's got just 11 points in 37 games this year. That's what, third-line production?
For a guy making $3.6 million.
Exactly. And he's not a rental. You're taking on that contract for 2 more years after this one. That's the real complication.
If he was just a UFA at the end of the year, this would be a much easier pill for Edmonton to swallow. But at 3.6 for 2 more seasons, wow.
They're handcuffed. And when the reports say his underlying numbers are not that great, that's important.
Yeah.
It's not just about the points. It means the things Treliving used to value in him in Calgary.
Like shot suppression, winning puck battles.
All of that. It's just not happening for him in an Oilers jersey. He's not that dependable two-way player they thought they were getting.
And there's internal pressure on the Oilers, too. It's not just financial.
No, it's a classic roster squeeze. The sources are pointing out that they have young guys, Isaac Howard and Quinn Hudson, who have been absolutely lights out in the AHL.
So they're pushing for spots.
They are, and that means you have to move out, extra bodies to make room. A struggling player on a medium contract like Mangiapane, he becomes the obvious sacrificial lamb.
So the market is being set by Edmonton's desperation, not by Mangiapane's actual trade value.
100%.
And this is where the Leafs come in. You can't ignore the giant elephant in the room, the Treliving factor. Is this just Treliving going back to an old flame, or does he see something here strategically that maybe others are missing?
I think it's a bit of both, really. The history is what gets the conversation started. Treliving knows the player from Calgary. He knows what Mangiapane can be when he's playing well.
So there's a level of trust there. He probably thinks he can fix him.
Exactly. He thinks he can get him back into a system where he can actually thrive. But strategically, you have to look at Coach Berube.
Right. How does he fit into Berube's system?
Well, Berube is changing the team's identity. And the Leafs might have some cap space opening up if those injuries to Dakota Joshua and Chris Tanev become official LTIR situations.
And stylistically.
Mangiapane is a defensive-minded forward. He brings grit, forecheck, responsible play.
Which is basically the polar opposite of the player they might be trading away.
It is. Maccelli is all about offense. He's a playmaker, great in transition, runs a power play. So if Berube is all in on structure and defense-first hockey, then swapping an offense-only guy for a defensive guy, well, it lines up with that philosophy.
Okay, so let's dig into the core of this whole debate. The part that has fans really divided, the potential one-for-one trade. Mattias Michelli for Andrew Mangiapane. Michelli's name has been in rumors before, but why does this specific swap feel so wrong to a lot of analysts?
Because, to put it simply, a one-for-one trade here makes absolutely zero sense for the Toronto Maple Leafs. It's potentially hazardous.
Let me play devil's advocate for a second. Mangiapane gives you cost certainty,
Yes.
right? $3.6 million for 2 more years. Michelli is an RFA after this season. That could get complicated. Is there any world where Tree Living justifies a straight swap just for that long-term cap predictability?
It's a sharp point, and that contract control is part of the conversation, but the immediate risk is just too high. Michelli's been playing so much better lately. He looks very good, especially on that power play. You'd be selling low on a player who's on an upswing.
And then there's the risk of where you'd be sending him.
A massive risk. The sources are clear on this. You trade Michelli to Edmonton, you're putting him on a line with Connor McDavid or Leandre Seidel.
His whole game is built around feeding skilled players.
It's a perfect match for them. He would, and I'm quoting the analysts here, he would likely put up a lot of points.
So not only are you getting a struggling forward, you might be creating a new offensive weapon for a contender. That is a terrible combination.
It's just bad asset management. It really is. The takeaway has to be, if Michelli is in this deal, the Leafs would need a lot more back alongside Mangiapane. It can't be a player-for-player deal.
So that brings us to the actual robbery scenario. The value isn't in getting Mangiapane cheap, because his contract is what it is. The value is in squeezing the Oilers because they're so desperate.
That's the lever. Tree Living has to pull that lever hard. You have to take advantage of their financial situation and get more out of them. If you're giving up a young, cost-controlled asset like Michelli, you have to demand at least a solid draft pick back.
And what's a solid pick in this case? A second rounder.
I think you have to push for more. You could argue Michelli himself cost a similar asset to acquire. The goal isn't just to break even, it's to win the trade because your opponent is in a weak position. If they need to shed that contract that badly, they have to pay a premium.
Are there any other ways True Living could add value? Could this become a bigger trade?
It could. I mean, the source material mentions the goaltending situation. We know Stollers is backskating now, which is great for the Leafs' depth. Could you use that depth as a chip?
So, a multiplayer deal.
Maybe. True Living could say, look, we'll take on Mangiapane's contract, but you also need to take this prospect, and you're giving us Mangiapane plus a draft pick. You get creative when you have all the leverage.
Okay, so let's summarize the consensus here. The Mangiapane part is plausible. True Living connection, Berube's defensive focus, it all fits. But the deal itself has to be a clear asset win for Toronto. It's about leveraging the Oilers' problems to get more than just the player.
Right, and that leads to the final big question, doesn't it? The reports call Mangiapane a complementary piece. He's a guy who can help your middle six and fit the coach's system. But does a complementary piece really move the needle for this team?
Especially for a team that, let's be honest, is not even in a very good position right now at all.
If the goal is the Stanley Cup, should True Living be aiming higher? Maybe this move is fine, but it can't be the move. Trading away a high-upside guy like Michelli, even for Mangiapane and a pick, feels like a lateral move at best if Mangiapane doesn't get back to his old form.
Which brings us to the final thought we want to leave you with. It's something we touched on earlier, but it's so critical: the contract status.